4.0.
Reviving communities.
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of Revive FM or its management.
Very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Muazzam Sandhu, and you are listening and watching Your Voice with Muazzam Sandhu at Revive FM 94.0. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have today a very distinguished guest. Before I introduce the guest, I have been told because of the COVID-19, there is so many things we need to update and convey the message to the community. So it is as part of the NHS Test and Trace, the NHS has launched the NHS COVID-19 app. Most of you are aware about that app to protect yourself and your loved ones. It's simple to use and the fastest way to see if you are at risk of the COVID-19. The app shows you are at the level of risk in your area. It lets you know if you have been in contact with someone with coronavirus, so you can take the necessary actions and precautions and let your loved ones aware about that. And it has a handy QR code scanner to check into the venues. Wherever you go, it is displayed on the windows without having to fill in the forms. Everyone who will love in our phones and and now we can use it to protect them by downloading the NHS COVID-19 app. So please encourage your friends and family members to download the app today from the App Store or Google app. And also, please download the NHS app and encourage everyone to do that. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, because there is so many things and so many issues currently going on, apart from that, there are so many leaders and people we do have here who do participate in our programs. And today we have the Unmesh Desai, who is the GLA, the Greater London Assembly member. And he is a very renowned politician, very vibrant person and leader. And he has extensive experience in and very strong contact with the communities. And he plays a vital role in the London Assembly, which is appreciable, and we really admire his services in the London. And most importantly, he is the chair of the GLA Police and Crime Committee, which is very important role, which is the role dealing with the crimes, dealing with the hate crimes, antisocial behavior, and his statistics, which is being shared by the Parliament and by any enforcement agencies. And we do appreciate that Unmesh Desai, who is working as the chair of the GLA Police and Crime Committee, is today participating in our show, and we will ask so many questions, so many concerns which the general public, general people have, because London is the capital of United Kingdom, and it is always being discussed and highlighted that the ratio of crime in London, especially in youth, the knife crimes, the hate crimes, acid attacks, and bullying, social media, cyberbullying, frauds, organized crimes. There's so many things which we need to ask with our guest today. It is Unmesh Desai. I will take the best opportunity to discuss all of these questions. I have given you a brief introduction of our guest today. Unmesh Desai just joined us now. Hello, Unmesh. Welcome to our show today.
Hi, good afternoon, Muazzam bhai, and good afternoon to all your listeners as well.
Thank you very much, Unmesh Desai. Just before you joined in, we have extensive introductions about your services, your role as a chair of the Greater London Assembly Police and Crime, and what are the concerns of the people about the crime and policing and funding. We have so many questions for you. We want you to share with our viewers. Before going ahead towards that, I would like to give you opportunity to share what exactly the London Assembly is doing during the COVID-19 crisis, because during this time, the Londoners, not only the Londoners, all of the residents of United Kingdom, and apart from United Kingdom, the world residents, people are suffering due to COVID-19, economically, socially, and they have mental health issues. They have so many problems. They lost their jobs, they're losing their houses. There's so many crises. So, what is London Assembly is doing nowadays, and what support you are asking from our community members and society?
Okay, I mean, firstly, we are living, I'm going to say that we are living in very difficult times. Hopefully, there's some light at the end of the tunnel with the development of the vaccine or vaccines.
Yeah.
But it's important in the meantime, we must keep on repeating this message. People are going to take every precaution and be safe. The virus is still out there. Let us not think that because the vaccine is around the corner that we can start relaxing. No, we can't. People are still, getting this virus. Yesterday only, I found out about two newsagent friends of mine in Tooting who actually have who just had the virus themselves. Contacted the virus. So wash your hands, keep your distance, be safe, wear a mask. That was one of the first things that, in fact, the Mayor of London back in early summer was advocating at the time when the government actually was, not have a clear line on the wearing of mask, and in fact, were not, doing anything to encourage mask wearing. Sadiq actually went public and said, there's scientific evidence that wearing mask helps reduce the spread of the disease.
Yes.
So, although we are coming up to Christmas, there is a tendency, there might be a natural, understandable tendency on the part of people to relax, enjoy, get out and about. Tomorrow, the restrictions are being eased. We still got to be careful. So, what is the GLA doing now? The GLA, there's two parts to the GLA as such. You got the Mayor of London, who's a directly elected person with executive powers, and then you got the London Assembly, which monitors the mayor. I'm one of the Assembly members. I sit on the Assembly Police Committee, of which I'm chair, on the Health Committee, on the Economy Committee, on the Budget Committee, and the Oversight Committee. Our work program.
Committees are very important.
Well, obviously, people have elected you, and put trust in you. And at a time like this, I think it's very important that we show leadership. We offer hope and confidence to people. It's not just a health virus; it's the economic virus. We are now entering a recession, which really worries me. One of the reasons I went on the economic committee was to see how I can help small businesses in my constituency in particular. The hospitality sector has been badly hit. The catering industry has been badly hit. The restaurants, so many of our community are either own restaurants or work in restaurants. The supply chains to many industries have been badly affected. You look at aviation. City Airport is in my constituency. You got Heathrow Airport in West London. Tens of thousands of local people and their families rely on jobs at these airports. It's not just directly working at the airports; it's a supply chains supplying the airport in many different ways. You could get whole boroughs like Hounslow destroyed because of mass unemployment if the aviation industry does not is not given help to get off his feet. People obviously are not traveling. So the government has extended the furlough scheme a bit too late. It's up to next March. But we've got to think more long term. Germany is spending £27 billion on its furlough scheme until the end of next year. And without a furlough scheme, I just dread to think what would have happened. So part of my work as Assembly member has been monitoring the work of the Mayor of London. There's a London Recovery Board, of which is part, and along with partner agencies, starting to prepare for as we come out from the health crisis, how we deal with the economic crisis. There are other issues as well. Of course, policing is another major part of my work. But just to come back to the COVID point about the work that the Mayor of London and of course the Transport Committee has been monitoring what he does. TFL over the last few months have developed a very a package of health measures. So the underground is as safe to travel as possible. Different viral sort of cleaning equipment, how the buses are cleaned. Just the other day, the news. There was talk of the TFL have got these new buses with air circulation system, which is very effective in sort of controlling the virus. Because what we do know is that we need air circulation, air movements. Is when people meet in congested spaces, there's no air circulation, and have contact with very close contact with another. Don't wear masks. There's a danger of someone who has got the virus giving it to someone else. So that's the sort of work that we've been doing from the London Assembly. And the Mayor of London, obviously, as a director elected mayor, has been setting a lead by encouraging the use of the wearing of masks, making sure that TFL has got all these safety measures. So, in a nutshell, the whole of GLA has had to respond to a very unprecedented crisis. And again, putting the case for London, do we need tier 3 restrictions in London? We've also got to think of the local economy. And so the mayor, along with us, have been lobbying for London to be in tier 2, which pleases the mayor, the government has seen our viewpoint, and London from tomorrow will be in tier 2. We still miss some restrictions, but not as much as tier 3.
Yes, but still people cannot visit their beloved ones in their homes. People have lost their liberties. Of course, it is more better than the lockdown tier 2, but still people are, when they see the chart of guidance of tier 2, I see the faces of the people. They're still disappointed because what they can do, they cannot visit their beloved ones. They cannot spend time with them.
And indeed, and people could not celebrate Eid. They could not celebrate Diwali. But this is what is remarkable about London, Londoners, and our country as a whole. People have been extremely resilient, not been selfish at all. By and large, most people have understood the need to try to remain at home and not be with your loved ones. Look, we can always revive the economy, but we cannot bring back dead people. We cannot resurrect the dead, as John McDonnell MP said a few weeks ago in the debate on television. Of course, the economy is very important. We've
But
got
some people are still criticizing. Some people are still criticizing the relaxation of rules during the Christmas time, when these rules were neglected, when this relaxation was neglected at the time of Diwali and Eid and other religious communities, religious festivals.
Yes, I've heard that viewpoint. I think I can only say that we've got to go by what the scientific evidence is.
Yes.
And at the time, back a few weeks ago, there was a danger again of the NHS being overwhelmed. There are signs that the things are getting better, and the government has been following, as I said, the scientific evidence. So I would not read too much into that. I think, yes, one can give the impression of being insensitive, but I think the government has been in touch with faith leaders and so on. I think what is important is that we all understand the need that this virus will go one day. And hopefully the vaccine, more people being more conscious of taking measures, of continuing to take measures to such as wearing masks for the foreseeable future. So I personally would say that it's better to have some pain right now. Let us think of the people who lost their lives. Let us look after our loved ones and bear with these restrictions, uncomfortable as they are. If we can get through this winter, we'll all be able to celebrate Eid next year as a community, Diwali next year, and Christmas in 2021 as well.
That's very great optimism, and hopefully.
Temporary inconvenience. What is also important is that, over summer, we saw the far right trying to exploit COVID tensions, trying to blame certain sections of our community for COVID. How we stood united as a country, how we stood, that this disease, this virus affects everyone, and it's not a virus, although it originated in China. There are attempts to to exploit tensions and people's fears by actually blaming British Southeast Asian British Chinese communities, and those attempts have failed. People know that this virus has recognized, as the Mayor of London said, recognizes no boundaries. It affects anyone and everyone. And even look at President Trump, or soon to go President Trump, who tried to actually say, well, who treated the virus so lightly at first, and he contracted himself. And look at what's happened in America. It's all very sad that lack of government action on the part of the Trump administration has resulted in a situation in America which is very, very serious. Here, the government, I must say, acted too late. Its measures were too little, and lessons that should have been learned from the first epidemic, I think, have still not been learned sufficiently. For instance, back in terms of my work at the Assembly, back in April, we were actually asking for controls at port of entries, at airports, at harbors, and that was not happening. So here we were in a lockdown, people accepting restrictions on their movements of a very tight lockdown, and yet people were coming from abroad without any checks. Madness, we should have been looking at regional tiers much earlier, when London suffered very badly. Things were getting better in London, but they were getting worse in the north. We should have been looking at stopping, or travel, except unless it was essential, between different regions then. And the government was given warning signals back in January. We saw it in Italy. The Italians warned us, it's coming your way. And yet, until late March, there was no sign of any movement on the part of the government. And then there was a panic measure, and all of a sudden we were into a lockdown without preparing for it. So I think there are many lessons to be learned. When the inevitable public inquiry takes place, I think there will be a lot of uncomfortable truths coming out for this government, and a question that they will have to answer.
Brilliant. I really appreciate your very articulated answers and responses about the COVID-19 and what the GLA, the Greater London Assembly, is doing. And you are, Unmesh Desai, a very vital member of the London Assembly, and we really feel proud that what you are doing towards eradicating and reducing the crime ratio in London, dealing the policing issues and funding matters in these all areas. I have few statistics to share with you before we can open up this debate about the crime ratio in London, because these are the most concerned for many parents, children, the future, our future, the youth. They are very badly affected due to these statistics, and it is shocking stats which is in front of me. I can share that the knife crime in London, it was recorded in 2019 to 2020, 15.6 thousand crimes only in London, and very dangerously, the age ratio 10 to 19 years old children are involved, more than 14,000 in crimes. And also, it is increase of 5.8 thousand offenses compared to 2015 to 2016. Secondly, the London Assembly report, it says that over 19,000 hate crime recorded in capital in 2018, and average more than 52 a day hate crime reported and recorded in London, which is really shocking. And I was reading the report which you distributed in 2018 as the pledges which you gave as a member of the London Assembly, which I really appreciate that you said that you are going to handle with iron hand, and you are going to press the mayor and all other authorities to deal with the hate crimes, including the Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and all other designated hate crimes which are concerned for the whole community.
Indeed. Well, look, apart from the COVID crisis, which, as I say, has also manifested itself in an economic crisis, and there are many measures that I've not spoken about that the Mayor of London is trying to help small businesses through grants and so on, and advice. London is Open has been relaunched again to attract businesses back to London and help London businesses sell themselves. But on the policing front, there's been a summer of unrest. We saw the Black Lives Matters movement
Yes.
following the unlawful killing of George Floyd
Right.
in America, and we saw many street protests here. So I will come to the issues of knife crime and hate crime, but let me look at what happened this summer, because that was alongside the COVID crisis, the main talking point of the last few months. What is it that caused people in this country to come out in such numbers to protest against, to show solidarity with the protest movements in America? Indeed, it has become a global movement. We've seen footballers taking the knees. We've seen cricketers taking the knees. So there is this feeling that many Londoners, many sections of the community, particularly Black communities, feel that they're not being policed in a fair and proportionate manner. We
Yes.
saw during lockdown what is called disproportionality in terms of Black communities being stopped and searched, being fined for breaching COVID regulations. And I personally did a report, Policing with Consent, which tried to address some of these issues as to what the Metropolitan Police can be doing. What is policing with consent? We have a tradition in this country that the police only police with support from the community. Yes, they got to enforce the law, but they got to carry the community with them. And we can't afford a situation where people feel that the police are working without their consent, without their approval, without their support. It's a two-way process. And my report says the Metropolitan Police urgently needs to look at 5 key areas. And before I come to those 5 key areas, let me just say that the crisis is terms of how Black Londoners in particular feel that they are treated. But historically, there have been grievances about policing within London's British Asian communities. That in the 80s, 90s, I remember as activists, people feeling that the police were not taking racist attacks seriously, that young Asian people were fighting back, were being arrested, for defending their communities against racist attacks, like the Neom 7, Neom 8, were being arrested themselves and criminalized and facing court proceedings. So these are issues that at various stages have affected various sections of London's communities. So to come to my report, I said the Metropolitan Police needs to urgently look at 5 key areas. Recruitment of police officers to ensure that they reflect the diversity of London's population.
That is very important.
And
Yes.
very important. But it's not just enough, Muazzam, to recruit them. You got to then make sure they stay, because a lot of money goes into training officers, recruiting officers, and the statistics are not very good. The rate of the retention rate is not very high. And then the third area is training. What sort of training do they get in policing a multicultural, a modern, diverse, cosmopolitan city like London? And then the fourth area is operational practices out there. Stop and search. How is that done? How police power is actually used on the ground. And last but not least, community engagement. That there is no structure right now where the community, the different London boroughs, the 32 London boroughs, the City of London has got its own police force. But how in each borough, the community can sit down with the police and have a constructive dialogue. So the mayor of London announced an inquiry, which he hoped would into all the various policing issues that I've just talked about, which he hoped would form the basis of an action plan. And after wide consultation, the action plan of the mayor came out very recently. It's a step in the right direction. I think it's very important that your listeners are made aware, if they not already are, of what is in this action plan, because it does affect all Londoners. So in terms of stop and search, the mayor's office and police and crime will be investigating reforming stop and search to ensure that officers don't just base their searches on the smell of cannabis alone, which has led to tensions among around stop and search of sections of our community.
Right.
But police car stops. Now this is something new. The mayor is to run a pilot where the Met collect ethnicity data of stops to identify any disproportionality in this practice. So is one section of our community overrepresented in terms of stops of cars and searches of cars? This is quite something new.
So these,
1.2 million pounds is going to be.
these are the key five areas which you are highlighting and discussing.
Yeah. Now,
Are your motions in the London assemblies
no.
to keep
So
the
my motions in London Assembly have been about police funding to make sure that the police of London actually funded properly by the Home Office. Apart from my 5%, my report, police with consent. What I'm talking about now is what is in Sadiq Khan's action plan. So
action
review
plan?
of stop and search powers, review of car stops, more money going to training. Community electrons, 1.2 million pounds each year for 3 years to train Met officers on stop and search and how to familiarize themselves with the community, the police. There's also going to be a review of what community engagement structures, how the police actually conduct a dialogue with London's various communities.
Yes.
And this is important, recruitment retention of officers. The Met is aiming for 40%. This is a target, not a quota, of its new recruits to come from BME backgrounds, Black, Asian, I think minority, by 2022. And there's it's
Yes,
hoping
your
this.
camera is going down. Can you little bit put the camera up? Move your camera up?
Sorry.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. The Met is aiming for 40%. As I said, this is a target, not a quota. 40% of its new recruits to come from BME backgrounds by 2022. It is hoped to increase representation to 28% overall by 2030. And also, they're bringing back the residency requirement for Metropolitan Police officers, or requirement to live in London. This will be introduced for most officers.
Okay.
So, as I said, there's a lot in Sadiq Khan's action plans to address some of the issues that we saw people expressing concern about on the streets of London.
But
Sorry.
these action plans already implemented,
No,
or
the action plan now is being implemented in stages. Part of my job as chair of the police committee will be
yeah,
monitoring the implementation of this action plan. Look, we've had so many inquiries, so many reviews. There are about 100 recommendations
yeah,
around race relations waiting to be implemented in the racism in the prison service, in the judicial system. We had the Macpherson inquiry into policing going back to 1991 after the murder of Stephen Lawrence. As David Lemmy said, we do not need any more inquiries. Let's get on with implementing the recommendations. As I said, there are about 100 recommendations waiting to be implemented. And Sadiq Khan's action plan, so I'm glad it's called action plan, is about actually a set of proposals which are in the process of being implemented. And my job as chair of the police committee will be to monitor, along with my colleagues on the London Assembly, the implementation of the action plan so it benefits all Londoners. You also asked me about knife crime and hate crime. So if I
yeah.
could just address those issues. So knife crime, has been a serious issue, and the figures were one death as a result of knife-related death is one too many. The figures were just simply appalling. But what's important is that the commissioner and the mayor of London have put resources into this area, recognize that this is an issue. Sadiq, upon coming into office in 2016, introduced a knife crime plan for each of London's boroughs. Also, there's what is called a public health approach, that looking at knife crime as a health issue, treating the causes of knife crime, investing resources into our youth services. There's a Young Londoners Fund, £45 million a year. So you got the enforcement side, more policing out there. We got the Violent Crime Task Force, which is a specialist unit dedicated to tackling gangs that carry out these murderous attacks. You got now what is called violence suppression units, teams in specific parts of London where knife crime is the issue, that can actually deal with both the perpetrators of knife crime, but also address the underlying causes, along with the Mayor's Violent Crime Reduction Unit. So it's about tackling the problem directly, but also the root causes of the problem, bringing together health experts, teachers, probation officers, and also working with the community. And a lot of
And what
resources have gone to
what about the selling of the knives to the underage
yeah,
teenagers?
tackling that problem. Sorry, I did get that.
Yeah, I said, what about the selling of the knives in the shopping centers or different shops to the teenagers? That is also one of the biggest concern and issue. Is
If
your
I
is your mic fixed now?
hi,
Unmesh?
sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Okay, I said that is one of the concern of the knife crime involved, that is selling knives to the teenagers. Selling knives to the teenagers. So how these things
It's a bad
control?
line, my friend. One of the concerns of people is
The concern of the people is selling the knives to the teenagers. I think there is a little bit bad.
oh yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
This would have
you
been
got it.
yeah.
Okay, Unmesh,
This is
we have little bit disruption.
what I've been working with
Can we
Stephen Tim. So
take a short break, Unmesh? Can we quickly take a short break and come back, and then we can answer this question? Yeah, we're going for a short break.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
People of Asian and Black ethnic origin are at an increased risk of COVID-19. Queen Mary University London has launched a research study called Covidence UK to find out why this is. If you are Black or Asian, we need your help to complete our studies. All you need to do is complete an online survey. Please help us to understand the coronavirus disease so we can develop tools to prevent it. Sign up at qmul.ac.uk/Covidence. Sign up and save lives.
We're facing the biggest health challenge of our generation, and we've shown that together we're stronger than ever. But to keep making a difference, we need to support each other. If you're a man and you've had coronavirus recently, then you might just have the antibodies to help save lives in your blood plasma. That's why we need men to donate. Giving blood plasma is safe, easy, and during this lockdown is considered essential travel. Be the difference. Search Donate Plasma or call 0300 123 2323 today. Shukriya.
Businesses. Time is running out. From the 1st of January next year, if you do business with Europe, you're going to have to follow new rules. So there are definite actions we all need to take now. More to do, I know, but it's work that won't be wasted. It needs doing no matter what. And we haven't got long. Less than 3 months and counting. Check what your business needs to do now at gov.uk/transition. Check, change, go.
With over 40 years experience in the industry, Plastic Carpets is the place to go for all of your carpets, laminates, linos and wood flooring. We have an established network of suppliers, which means we can offer some of the best prices in town. We offer free estimates and now even free fitting. Call us now on 0208 472 8568 or visit us at 157 to 159 Plashet Road, Upton Park, London E13 0QZ.
The new NHS COVID-19 app immediately shows me the risk of coronavirus in my area, so I can warn Mel. It lets me quickly check into venues with a QR scanner so I can protect Alid.
It tells me fast if I've been in contact with other app users who have coronavirus, so I can alert Emma.
It helps me protect all my loved ones, even Auntie Sue.
The more of us who get the app, the better we can control coronavirus.
Protect your loved ones.
Get the NHS COVID-19 app.
Download now at Google Play or the App Store.
I wash my hands to protect my family.
I wear a face covering to protect my mates.
I make space to protect my colleagues.
Hands.
Face.
Space.
I wash my hands to protect strangers.
I wear a face covering to protect other passengers.
I make space to protect you.
Hands.
Face.
Space.
As we spend more time indoors, we need to do whatever we can to help protect each other from coronavirus. So please, wash hands, cover face, make space.
ReviveFM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile.
And online.
As part of the NHS Test and Trace, NHS is launching the COVID-19 app to help protect yourself and your loved ones. Today, I would like to welcome Dr. Jason Wara, OBE, Chief Executive of Lion Croft Wholesale Limited, who is going to advise us on how we can download the app to control coronavirus and safely get on with living. Jason, tell us why this app has actually been launched.
Thank you, G. We live very much in a technological world now, and our day-to-day living centers around our mobile phones. Everyone we love, their contact details are on our phone. So
ReviveFM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile.
And online.
Very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your voice with Muazzam Sandhu, and you are listening our distinguished guest today, Unmesh Desai, who is the Greater London Assembly member and chair of Police and Crime. Before the break, we were talking about the how the London Assembly is handling the biggest concerns and issues of knife crime in London that was a steep high previously in last year. And Unmesh was explaining these things. So Unmesh, I was saying there was a concern, people says, why not there is a ban of selling the knives to the teenagers. I can see that there's so many big superstores, they said that you are not allowed to buy any knife if you are less than 18-year-old. So the ID required these kind of things, but still, yet again, there are so many crimes is not going down. So it means the access of knives to the teenagers is not, I mean, not all the teenagers, I mean the criminals, the gangs or other kind of people. So how we can stop this?
Indeed, and you raised a very important question here. Firstly, I mean, you can get knives legally through shops, and obviously where you can have identity checks, and it's a scandal that some shops, particularly some big ones, have been exposed for not carrying out proper identity checks.
Yes.
And proof of age checks, and council like Bark and Dagenham have been in the news for taking action against some of these big big supermarket stores. The problem is more, I think, at at a different sort of level where is where the difficulties of carrying out proof of age checks, and Stephen Timms has been doing a lot of work around this in Parliament, and I've been sort of working with him around the offensive weapons bill, where actually you can order knives or whatever over the internet, but then you have to, before you can collect it or before you get receipt of the goods, you have to actually show your proof of age. So it's about actually controlling the sale of knives, and particularly the internet. That for me is a key issue here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Unmesh, let's talk about the number of police, which was the government has said that they are going to recruit 20,000 police in England and Wales. But yet again, I heard statement in regards to that the commissions requested 5,000 police more. So what is the situations? Why do you think that the less number of the police is one of the biggest reasons of the huge number in crimes?
So let us be clear here. We have had 10 years, starting in 2010, with austerity cuts. We started off the coalition government of the Conservative Lib Dem Alliance up to 2015, and then we've had cuts by the Conservative government. The Metropolitan Police have had £1 billion of cuts over the last 10 years. And no organization, no matter how much money then you try to put back into it, can actually make up for 10 years of such drastic cuts overnight. So when I became Assembly member in 2016, Sadiq Khan got elected mayor the same year. There was a danger of London's police force falling below 30,000, the first time to, in fact, an all-time low of around 27,000. It was a combination of budgetary measures by the Mayor of London. And of course, we play our part from the budget committee, scrutinizing, looking at his budget, to check that represents value for money to Londoners, that actually benefits Londoners. So the use of the council precept, which is the GLS share of your council tax to pay for police and fire services, which Boris Johnson had not used that. And also, over the last two budgets, use of business rates in particular, for the first time, business rates being used in frontline services, invested in frontline policing. The number of police officers has actually gone up to around 32,000. The government said it will give resources for 20,000 police officers for England and Wales. There's no clear direction or criteria from the government as to where these police forces, these officers will go. The mayor and the commissioner have asked for 6,000. The assembly passed a resolution proposed by myself, which attracted support from all political parties, calling for the Met to be given 5,000. 5,000, 6,000, every single police officer, helps. So far, the government has given the Metropolitan Police 1,369 out of the 6,000 that Sadiq has asked for. So we clearly need to keep up the pressure on the government to actually give London the 6,000 officers. The commissioner herself, feels that she needs to police London safely, or as safely as, or more safely than with the resources she has now. Every single officer counts, and a key part of the assembly is keeping pressure with the mayor on the government for these resources to be given, to London and to the Metropolitan Police.
That is still very disappointing attitude and behavior. Of the government. They must give the importance and priority to the people's life and the youth's life, the productivity, and the more creative engagement of the community, and especially the youngsters. But we really appreciate what you and the London Assembly is doing. Yet again, I have one thing to discuss. That according to the police own records and data, 912,000 crime has been recorded in 2019 and 2020. That is overall. That is theft, handling, violence against persons, burglary, criminal damages, drugs, robbery, sexual offences, and fraud and forgery. All of that. So how the UK is one of the leader of the world who plays a vital role in all the areas of civilizations, and especially we always raise a slogan of the British values that exactly matching with the human values. And how come we are still having a big number of crimes here while living in a well-civilized society?
Well, you yourself have got a reputation for standing up and fighting for human rights. and I'm
Very
aware
right.
of your background. I think if you look at the nature of crime, I mean, we haven't talked about computer crime, internet fraud, which is a big issue. And the next meeting of the police committee, we're hoping to look, or rather, certainly one of the assembly sessions, I'm hoping to raise questions about business crime, and particularly, as I say, internet fraud, which affects so many people, not just big businesses, people at home. Identity theft is a major issue, and we've looked at this through the in the police committee. But I mean, let me sort of say, talk about human values, hate crime. We did a report on hate crime, which is on the rise, and hate crime across all, in different areas.
Yeah,
Islamophobia, which is well
LGBT.
documented, anti-Semitism,
Yeah.
and it's not just a question. I mean, of just encouraging people to report these crimes. Reporting is important, but it's about what we do with the reports, because we've been asking for people to report crimes for the last 40, 50 years, and people often say to me, well, what's going to happen? Why why should I report when nothing's going to happen? I'm wasting my time. Do the police care? And what I'll say is that first, it's important, do not give up. Report, because only by reporting we can get an accurate picture of what is happening, and we can then pressurize the police, or the police can then, of their own will, direct resources accordingly. Now, has hate crime gone up, or is it more reporting of hate crime that has gone up? I think it's a combination of both. I think more people are coming forward to report through groups like Tell Mama or the Community Security Trust. So it's both reporting that's gone up, and I suspect the level of hate crime itself has gone up. We saw a spike in hate crime after the referendum results, and during the Brexit debate. Of course, a lot of it has been filled with hate, xenophobic forces. And the far right again trying to capitalize on the various Brexit sort of protests and marches. As a result of the coronavirus crisis, attacks on our British Chinese communities have increased. But to their credit, the Metropolitan Police have recognized hate crime. It's a top priority. There are hate crime units in the Met. It's part of the community safety. So I mean, if you look at the area of football and the activities of far right-wing groups around our football grounds, I know that having spoken with the hate crime unit of the Met, that they actually do monitor far-right activity around our sporting institutions. So there is progress being made. And again, one of the things that we do at the GLA through our police committee report and its recommendations, monitoring the implementation of these recommendations. We launched our hate crime report at Chelsea Football Club, which meant not that long ago, but a few years ago, was actually well known for for racist activity. But to their credit, the Chelsea Football Club, along with many other clubs, the Football Association, are now proactively taking steps to counter racist or Islamophobic behavior, hate behavior of any type, no matter where it comes from, at their grounds. They deserve credit. A lot is being done. Things are changing for the better.
For the better. Thank you very much. Unmesh, let me share with you a few of my personal survey reports which I conducted during this lockdown. I contacted over 150 people across within our community, the Muslim communities, and other active members of the community, such as the councillors, the mayors, and also I contacted with solicitors, barristers, professionals, business people, and working class peoples. They have very impact within their communities and involved. They all are agreed on one point, that the Islamophobia in Western law is not properly handled, as they prepared a law for the anti-Semitism. For example, the denial of anti-Semitism is not protected by the freedom of expression. But Islamophobia, why the Islamophobia is not covered under any law? Because there are two judgments. I know you have also legal backgrounds. You was the criminal defense law, so you can understand more properly that the European Court of Human Rights And the Germany's top court has made judgments in 2018 and 19 on this point, that the denial of Islamophobia is not covered under the freedom of expression and is not covered under any human rights. So in a similar way, because they said the denial of Holocaust is hurting the feelings of the 14 million Jews. So we agree with that. We said, okay, no problem with that. We are with them. But in the similar point, on the Islamophobia, whenever someone is hurting our holy prophet or our holy books or passing any remarks, so that comes under Islamophobia. These things are not protected under the freedom of expression. These things are not protected under any human rights. So why these double standards of Western law? So do you think these things are not properly handled, and do you support this cause that we urge to the parliamentarians and legislative assemblies to consider these things?
It's a bit of a bad line, but I think I've got the gist of your question and your point. And I think it's a fair point, which concern has been expressed to me. Look, my view is that we've got to keep all our hate crime legislation under constant review, learn from experiences, listen to committee groups. We also got to see what is practical, what can be enforced. But as you know, our society changes, becomes more diverse. We see different types of crimes emerging, crimes that before were there but were not being recorded maybe. The view I take is that we got to keep things under constant review, and it's something that I know that some of our local MPs, others have been concerned about, representations from committee groups, and if people feel that we need fairness in terms of the points that you raised, so it's certainly something that should certainly be kept under review.
Yes, the equality and fairness dictates that all the communities should be treated equally, and all the laws should be applied equally, not only to cover or give any favor to the one community and ignore the other community. So we are just asking to deal everyone under equal treatment, equal law, equal.
Which is I think recognition is the most important issue. If you don't recognize that there is a problem, how on earth can you actually develop strategies to confront that problem? So you just take my own party. I'm a Labour politician and a Labour elected representative. The issue of anti-Semitism in our party has been extensively commented upon. There have been some high-profile cases recently. The Equality Human Rights Commission did a report as well, but also maybe what has not got the same attention, just recently, an inquiry into Islamophobia in my own party has been released, a surprisingly high number of respondents complain about Islamophobia, and I'm glad that Keir Starmer, the leader of the party, has said he'll take the report's recommendation very seriously. We've got to fight hate, and in all these types, in all forms, everywhere, wherever it appears, whether it's anti-Semitism, whether it's Islamophobia, or as I said, to repeat the point about the coronavirus crisis, hatred directed at the British Chinese and Southeast Asian communities. And that's why we always got to keep open mind, keep things under review, change laws, or look at how effective existing laws. Are there loopholes in the law that divisive groups will seek to exploit, or that people like enforcement agencies are uncertain of where they stand legally? Well, then let's give them better understanding of existing laws, what the problems are, how those problems can be remedied, so there's better legal protection for all.
That is excellent to hear from you, Unmesh Desai. Honestly, I liked when you said the recognition of a problem is one of the most key points to tackle that issue and tackle that problem. Unmesh Desai, we are almost about to end up with it. So you want to give any message to all of our listeners and communities?
The message I want to say is this. Look, it's been a difficult year for everyone, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. With hopefully vaccines coming out on the market soon, we must make sure that these vaccines are properly distributed, and it's a global pandemic. So let's also think of people around the world, countries that are much poorer than ours. We can only fight this virus as a global community. The virus recognizes no boundaries. We've been very patient over the last few months. Let us, stick to the rules the government is asking us to. Yes, there are issues that I've got with how the government has handled this crisis. There are some big issues. Test and trace, has been it's taken them a long time to get it off the ground. There are problems with implementation of test and tracing. Businesses are crying out for support. But it's by being united as a community, sticking together, following some basic rules. The virus is still with us, as I keep on saying, but there is light on the corner. So can I take this opportunity to wish everyone all the best for 2021, and hopefully, fingers crossed, next year you'll all be able to celebrate religious festivals, Diwali, Eid, together as a community, which we were not able to do this year.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, Unmesh Desai. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for your time today.
And thank you for inviting me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our show, and you was listening about all of these things, the issues, and the solutions and support from the London Assembly and Unmesh Desai, the member of the London Assembly. Thank you very much, and see you next week, Tuesday at the same time. Your voice with Muazzam Sandhu. Please keep listening and watching Revive FM 94.0.
Businesses, time is running out. Starting on the 1st of